I have the day marked in my calendar that I was going to kill myself. I couldn't take it anymore. But I saw this Facebook ad that it found out you guys did, telling me I could get some relief. So I said, well, I'll go to the seminar, which is in a couple of weeks. I can kill myself then if I don't like the seminar.
Welcome to the show. Tired of the hype about living the dream? It's time for truth. This is the place for tools, power, and real talk so you can create the life you dream and deserve. Your ultimate life. Subscribe, share, create. You have infinite power.
Hello there. Welcome to this episode of Your Ultimate Life, the podcast that we've created to help you create a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy by serving with your gifts and your life experience. Got a special guest today, Seth Greene. Seth, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It is an honor to be here. I'm super excited.
Cool. So, as a question that I like to start with, not always, and I don't want you to be modest, I'd just like you to tell us, how does Seth choose to add good to the world?
I believe that marketing saves lives. We have proof that our marketing campaigns have saved people's lives, which is some of my favorite testimonials. And how do we add good to the world? We are in the business of storytelling. So we tell your story for fun and profit. We tell it to the right people to get them to give you money, save you money, cut your taxes, make you more money, all kinds of different ways. But our goal is to get your message out to the world, to the right people who can expand your network and your net worth.
So tell me, obviously that's a little bit practiced, which is good, something that you do. And I love the emphasis on storytelling. What is it about this mission that you're on that's in your heart? Why do you care about this?
Because of the ripple effect. I love the fact that, so for example, I started out as a retail financial advisor, and in that business, I was going to touch maybe a couple hundred people, maybe a couple thousand if I was lucky, and worked hard over my entire career. But as a direct response marketing agency, we might touch thousands of clients who in total, that ripple effect might be tens of millions of people that we reach. So I love the leverage. I love the fact that every single day, our marketing on behalf of our clients is going to reach more people. They're going to help them improve their lives. And thus I get to affect a whole lot more people than I ever would on my own.
So that's magnificent. What are some of the more impactful, joyful things that you, people come to you, they want help marketing. Okay. Some things you're like, I'm so stoked to market this thing. This is wonderful. So tell me about a couple of those.
Absolutely. So at one point in time, and this is why I say marketing saves lives, we were helping grow the fastest growing chain of stem cell clinics in the country. And they would pick a city that they wanted to open a location in. We would fill a seminar room of prospective patients. They would do their presentation, close the business, and then open the clinic. And then 90 days later, serve those people. And my favorite marketing story, one of all time, is we got a phone call from one of their patients, and he had tracked down, called the local office, asked them who did the marketing, and called me and said, I had diabetic neuropathy so bad I couldn't even wear a t-shirt. I was going to kill myself. I have the day marked in my calendar that I was going to kill myself. I couldn't take it anymore. But I saw this Facebook ad that it found out you guys did, telling me I could get some relief. So I said, well, I'll go to the seminar, which is in a couple of weeks. I can kill myself then if I don't like the seminar. He goes to the seminar, signs up for the treatment, says the treatment's in 90 days. I guess I'll stay alive for 90 more days. I can kill myself then if it doesn't work. Got the treatment and then said my pain went from a level 9 to a level 2. Not only am I wearing clothes, I'm playing with my grandkids. I'm running around in the backyard. My whole life is different. I don't have to kill myself anymore. And I said, marketing saves lives. Thank God we created that marketing campaign for that client.
Well, that's not even a stretch. So it's an absolute truth, and it's a powerful thing. Give me another story that's an individual incident, but about another thing, because I know you've done lots of different products for different people and different things that's near and dear to your heart. About it means something to you, something you've helped grow or sell or spread or whatever the right word is you want to use. Tell me something about that.
Absolutely. So my original core business was being a college financial aid negotiator. It was helping families cut the cost of college tuition, $31,077 per year per kid. And I got into that business because my dad had driven me so nuts every semester I was in undergrad about how much it cost that I decided I wanted to help solve that problem for other families. So we've literally now saved people millions of dollars in college tuition. We have a number of students this past year who were going to their dream schools who otherwise their parents had said, you can't apply there, we can't afford it. And I said, if we work our magic right, yes, you can. And those kids are going to schools and having opportunities that they otherwise wouldn't have gotten because they didn't know that they could pay less to get to college.
So that's a fabulous story, and it's exactly what I was thinking about. Not that story, but the principle. Like, if you solve that for yourself, that's one thing. I mean, sometimes people overcome a problem or challenge, and it's like, okay, I'm good. But you said, well, I'm going to help other people. I'm curious about what it is about Seth that makes it so that he has an interest in, like, helping somebody else with this problem. What's gone on in your world that makes that a priority?
I mean, isn't that what life's all about? I mean, in the Jewish faith, we call that tikkun olam, fixing the world. Our goal is to make it better than we left it. Our goal is to help others and lift everybody up. And other people have been very helpful to me, you included, along the way. And I've just always tried to reciprocate or pay it forward.
So that's an interesting thing. And I love that. Thank you. And the fact that you characterize it, isn't that what life's about? I mean, we are literally built physiologically and spiritually to love and serve each other. We feel good, neurotransmitters, all this crap happens when we do good. And there's, some spiritual equivalent of, dopamine or serotonin or whatever. I don't know what it is, but there's got to be something because our heart and our body feels good when we do that. What I notice is that when people solve a problem for themselves, usually first, and they get excited about, having something be better, there seems to arise at the same time, almost universally, a desire to serve others, to help people with that same problem. And you said, isn't that what life's about? The answer is yes, it is, unequivocally. Now, my question is, why do you think we live in a circumstance, in a world that we've created that promotes and advertises the opposite of that? I got mine, screw you. What are we doing in that world?
Hopefully making it better. Hopefully reversing that tide and reversing that trend. I think we probably got here with too much self-interest, too much people focusing on themselves, on what they could get, as opposed to thinking that both the world and relationships are a place we go to give.
It is a place we go to give. And thank you for saying that. Is there anything, like, I know you've got a family and you love them dearly. I saw a Facebook post the other day, I don't know how old it was, about you and some martial arts that you were doing. What
that was a couple months ago.
Yeah, cool. Tell me a little bit about that journey. What is it about? Because I spent a lot of years in martial arts and competitive stuff. So I know the effort, energy, discipline, et cetera, that kind of work takes. Is that, tell me a little bit about that journey.
So I've been a martial artist most of my life, and my parents enrolled me in martial arts originally when I was in middle school because I was being bullied. I was being physically picked on. And it was for me to learn self-defense, which took enough practice and repetition for me to actually stand up for myself and defend myself, and eventually worked. And the bullies at the time left me alone after that, but I remained fascinated and have taken many martial arts throughout my life. The post you saw was me getting my 3rd degree black belt in Krav Maga, which is by far my favorite martial art I've ever done and the one I've stuck with the longest.
Why is it your favorite?
It's the most practical. For those of you folks may be watching or listening at home, I'm not that big a guy, right? I'm not going to win a fight based on strength. Someone who's going to pick on me or fight with me or mug me is going to most likely be bigger or stronger. And I need to be able to win by being smarter or faster. And Krav Maga is the Israeli military's martial art, and their military, the women serve right next to the men. So their martial art was designed specifically not to be, I'm just going to be stronger than you and win. It was designed to be, I am a smaller, physically perhaps weaker opponent getting attacked, and I need to be able to defend myself anyway and still win. So it's the most practical one I've ever studied.
That's fantastic. And a third degree black belt is nothing to sneeze at. I have a second degree in a couple of different styles, but I didn't finish a third. So that's fantastic and good on you. Tell me a little bit about the things that drive you in life, because this podcast is about creating a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy. And you and I know from previous conversations, I believe in and practice and live a life where I love every minute of every day. And I'm excited about that. And I believe that's possible for anyone. When I say your ultimate life, what does that mean to you?
I have been, as you know, we've worked together in the past, and I want that life of purpose, passion, and joy, of loving every single minute. I feel like I have a lot of purpose, passion, and joy in my life. Do I love every minute of it? No. So I've still got some work to do. And why I do what I do is to help others and I'm trying to make the world a better place. And whether that's to help as many other people as I can along the way to make the world a better place, or simply the selfish goal of, putting all three of my kids through college, I'll take all of it.
Of course you will, and you'll accomplish all that. I have no question. Do you believe that it's possible for anyone that's really dedicated to create a life that they love?
It's who else is going to do it for you? So yes, absolutely. My life wasn't always filled with purpose and passion and joy, and it took hard work and dedication to get there. I think that's actually probably our natural state that we were born into. And then society or our family, mother, father, sister, teacher, preacher, whoever, sent us in a different direction by their own misguidedness. And it's our job to kind of work our way to get back there.
I agree. And somehow we've created this world that focuses so much on negativity. And there's all kinds of stories about the amygdala and saber-toothed tigers and all that crap. And the truth is, nobody was born with hate. Nobody was born with negativity. When someone comes to you, and I know you do marketing, but I'm sure in the process of working with clients, or at least I think I'm sure, there's someone that comes to you with this will never work. I can't do this. I've tried everything else. They're all a bunch of charlatans. And somehow you have to help them see perhaps their own value and then allow them to see the possibilities that you present that's different. Talk a little bit about that.
So you are absolutely right. And our firm would probably be way smaller if I didn't hear that complaint several times a day when we talk to prospective clients for the first time. So I will tell them that, you know what, you're absolutely right. With that attitude, it's not going to work. And we can't help you. And usually that disarms people. They're like, what do you mean? Like, well, if you come at whatever we do with that type of spiritual energy, you will win. I cannot defeat your spiritual energy. If you're convinced this won't work, then let's not do it, because we could do the greatest marketing campaign in the world and it will fail because of your spiritual energy that you're putting out into the world. And usually that sparks a much more engaging conversation. So I think that it's all about who you are being, which I know you talk a lot about on this show and in your books, which I am a huge fan of. Who you are being affects how well what you do works. So when we've got clients who are excited, who are optimistic, who can't wait to get their purpose and their passion out into the world, magically our marketing works better. It's the same in my own business. Our geometric leaps in revenue expansion don't happen because I learned some new marketing trick. I mean, I wish they did, but they don't. They happen most of the time when I haven't learned something new. It's when I become something new. When I have had an evolutionary leap as a father, as a husband, as a leader, as a spirit, when I've had a personal breakthrough or spiritual breakthrough, magically I become this bigger container and my business rises to fill it. I think that's why I tell people spend more time working on yourself than you do your business. And if you do that, your business will rise to meet the new you.
So thank you for saying it and saying it so clearly, because it's a funny thing. I have all kinds of clients, and most of them come to make more money in their business, occasionally for other reasons. And it doesn't matter why they come. The thing we end up working on all the time, first and most, is who you're being, because every single thing that you do comes from that place of being. And so if you come from a sucky place, you get sucky results or half-baked results or whatever. And I know there's some studies that show that the biggest determining factor in hospitals about patients' recovery, especially from serious illnesses, is their attitude about recovery. Nothing to do with the germs, the drugs, the doctors, or anything else. It's the, I'm not dying from this kind of feeling, right?
Absolutely.
So how did you land on this marketing stuff? I mean, you have lots of talents, you have lots of skills. I talk about people finding their purpose and their real purpose. People say, I don't know what my purpose is. I have a process called the triple helix, and it's a mix of your skills, your gifts, and your life experience. And if you mine those three things, you'll find the thing that's your real purpose and lights you up. How did you land on marketing? I know you're passionate about it and have been for a long time. So how did that happen?
I had again decided to become a college financial aid negotiator about 26 years ago, a career that didn't exist at the time. The Fortune 500 company I went to work for had me making 300 cold calls a day, interrupting strangers asking for money. I hated that process. I found the legendary marketing expert guru, Dan Kennedy, who I then borrowed more than our house to go work with. And when the marketing he taught me how to do worked for my practice as a college financial aid negotiator at howtofindmoneyforcollege.com, and I never had to cold call again, and all of a sudden my ideal clients were coming to me, I said, oh my God, this is amazing. And other business owners, other advisors started finding out about it, reading about me in trade journals and saying, how did you do that? And I faxed Dan Kennedy back then. And I said, what do I do? And he said, you start a marketing firm and do it for them. And I said, I now have leverage. Instead of just helping the clients I can individually work with, I can now reach a whole lot more people by helping other businesses, other professional practices market their companies. And I get to help a lot more people and make the world a better place.
I love that. It's true, and it's true in spades, and I love the ripple effect. How long did you study or work with Dan Kennedy as you made that first initial change?
First initial change happened over, I'd say, the first 24 months of working with Dan. I have stayed a student of his, for multiple decades ever since, been to many, many events, and bought every course, every product, every book, every tape, everything he's ever offered. And I grow every single time I do.
So there's this feeling, maybe because of the atmosphere we live in or the society we've created, that, the world is kind of stacked against us. And we get what I call the learned helplessness, right? And we end up feeling like, the universe is not on my side or it's conspiring against me. What do you think about that phrase? If I say the word learned helplessness to you, what does that say?
I'd say that is beautiful that you learned it, because that means you can unlearn it. And I would say that the world is what you make of it, right? I am the center of the universe. I cannot see it from any other perspective. You are the center of your universe, so why not make it one that you love being the center of?
How do you help somebody do that?
I send them to you. That's not my job. I can make their business grow, but I can't do what you do.
So tell me a little bit about your family, your relationship, if you don't mind, your kids. And you said one of the goals you have is getting all three of your kids through college. And I saw one of them earned something in the martial arts too, I think, on one of your posts. Is that true or not true?
No, none of my kids are in martial arts. However, I'll answer the relationship and the kids question. I am married to my soulmate, Rebecca. We've been married for 20 years. She makes me a better spiritual being every single day, and I attempt to do the same for her. Let's see, our kids, as we're recording this, Max is now 18 and is headed off to Cornell University in the fall, which is probably what you saw the post.
That's what it was. I saw the post about him getting accepted or going. That's what it was. Okay, keep going.
Yes. So we are super proud of him. First Ivy League student, college student in any one of our families. So super excited about that. Ella is 16 and is busy studying for her ACTs and wants to be a journalist and has started a independent news site because she's frustrated with the bias that appears in mainstream media. So we're super proud of her launching that. And Lily, as of right now, is studying for her bat mitzvah, is about to be 13, and is crushing it at cheerleading and flag football.
So if you think about the energy that you bring to life as a choice about who you are you surprised at all at the level of work and performance that your kids are showing?
No and yes. So no, and that their mother and I both have incredible work ethics, huge goals, and amazing determination, and we have successfully raised them to do that. I think they've taken it to a level I never imagined. So the amount of things Max has developed and the work he has put in to get into Cornell was beyond anything I could have imagined. Ella, we literally have to tell her, you need to take a break. You need to stop. You need to come swimming with us in the pool and relax and not work all of the time. And watching Lily work so much to get like stunts at cheerleading or moves at flag football, or she recently just, is getting her back handspring down because she wants to make a even more competitive cheer squad. It warms my heart to watch them set goals, do the work, and achieve things and become bigger, better, people along the way.
So you talked a little bit earlier about ripple effect. I remember when your wife started her program, Whiny Palooza Mom, I think it's called.
Yeah, that's correct.
Right?
Good
the
memory.
Very first episode of it, I remember that. And I remember your kids when they were much younger than that. And the thing I'm thinking about is kids learn what they see. And so I, as I look at you and have watched you over the years, I'm not surprised at all that they are choosing to create life. And that's really what this is. They've had examples of people creating life and going through difficulties and struggles. And now they're choosing to create it, take it into their own hands. Because you said, the projects and things he did to get into Cornell. He did. He created this with his hands. The moves for the cheerleading squad. And all of those things. And there was a third child too. The creation of those things is an act of self-determination.
Amen.
And so you have modeled that in a powerful and beautiful way for them. What do you think when you sit by yourself and there's just space? What comes to your mind?
I'm very blessed. I am very thankful. I am very grateful for the opportunities that we've been given and created. And I try and focus on that.
One of the things that's interesting about that neurotransmitter business is gratitude. People talk about gratitude, talk about a rampage of appreciation. Or I find that what you're just describing there, consciously focusing on something to be grateful for until we have the neurochemical experience, if you will, the actual experience of gratitude is so transformative because it pushes all that other stuff that could occupy our thoughts and minds out of our way, out of our heads, and all the rest of it. Do you find that?
I do 100%. I think one of the things I say is when you're nervous, get into service, right? Because if you're nervous, you're worried about yourself. When you're in service to someone else, when you're helping someone else, the focus isn't on you and the butterflies go away.
They do. I'm going to come back to some client stuff. So when you have a grumpy ass client that may be either complaining about something you either have or haven't done and doesn't seem to be appreciating the effort, and so it brings up the opportunity to be pissed off at that client or negative about that, how do you balance that service, and it isn't nervous, but the service and frustration equation? What do you do on purpose to create life in that circumstance?
I could get better at that. I work on that on a regular basis. I try and try and talk to myself about the opportunity, what a opportunity it is to work with this person and the ripple effect that we're having through them. And I try and realize that whoever has the stronger emotion is going to quote unquote win that reaction. So I have got to be the emotional leader for my client and lead them to where they need me to take them, as opposed to getting sucked into their negativity.
I love that. So what is the strong emotion that you reference? Because I think people running any kind of a business have, struggles with clients that have either not done work or misused the product or service or whatever, and have the opportunity. And sometimes maybe they're just mad at the ads or whatever because it's not providing enough clients. But in any of those situations, I like what you said. The one that has the most powerful emotion is the one that will be able to exercise leadership and rule the day. What is the emotion that you look to give you that power?
Excitement, optimism, gratitude would probably be some of them.
Okay, good. So you intentionally think about that. The reason I'm having you drill into that is I want everybody listening to this to realize this. Excitement is a choice. Optimism is a choice. Gratitude is a choice. I mean, the old funny story about the pile of horse crap and the kid walking in and saying, There's got to be a pony in here somewhere. That's a choice, and you get to create that choice. I want you to talk a little bit about, because you didn't fall up this mountain. Nobody falls up a mountain. Talk a little bit about your developmental journey to get to a place where you intentionally choose, even if there are moments or hours or whatever frustration, where you intentionally choose to be in a place of more service, more happiness, to climb another inch up that mountain. What's your journey been like doing that?
I am working on that still every single day, and think always will. We're all works in progress. And you've helped me tremendously along the way in my work with you. And I think it's, again, constantly not get sucked into the negativity and think about the opportunities that we've been given or that we make for ourselves, and try and focus on the positive and things to be excited about. Like write in the win journal of what wins did we have today. I think we as business owners don't celebrate enough, and we get focused on the day to day and putting out the fire, as opposed to really leading from purpose and passion and joy like you talk about. So that journey's been ups and downs my whole life. I got into personal development on a hospital bed when I was 16 and was thought I was going to die, and have been into it and a student of it and a practitioner of it ever since. And it is really, really important to me to continue to evolve and grow so that I can have a bigger impact on the world.
What happened? I love that. And you do have a big impact on the world. And I find everything that you have done, especially with your kids and your wife and yourself, to be precious and beautiful. What happened when you were 16 that caused a problem?
I was diagnosed with a chronic inflammation disease that happened to be focused on my digestive system. And there was a point where it got so bad, I was hospitalized and I was on IV nutrition. I couldn't eat or drink anything. And I was a very scared 16-year-old, kid, and was worried when they told me you may not be able to eat for months. There were moments I was honestly worried it was going to kill me and I was going to die. And there are no accidents. On the library of the 7th floor of Children's Hospital in Buffalo, where all of the books were like See Spot Run, Hop on Pop, because it was a children's hospital. One day I had a tutor that came from the school district because I couldn't go to school. So I got school done in an hour and a half a day, and both my parents worked. So I had lots of free time in a hospital. And I'm looking through the books in the library. And again, it's Hop on Pop, it's See Spot Run. And then for some reason, somehow, some way, somebody left a copy of Unlimited Power by Tony Robbins on that bookshelf. And that was the first personal development book I ever read, and I've never stopped. And I have worn out copies of that book along with yours and many others, because I believe divine providence, or whatever you want to call it, put that book there in my path so that I could take a different path on my own journey.
I love that. And you've made several references to the divine and to our spirit and those kinds of things. And that is a powerful and important piece of anyone's journey. I mean, we can choose to ignore that all we want and deny it and decry it and do whatever it is. But the truth is, when things get really bad in life, or even in large scale, the first thing people do is say, pray for this, pray for that. And they go there and they don't even think about it. So I want you to talk a little bit about, because helping people acknowledge and lean into that truth is so important. And I want you to describe a little bit your own connection, your own spiritual journey with the divine in terms of how that evolved for you, how much you trust intuition and inspiration in growing your business, which is very finance-oriented, money, produce, results, and tangible. And I want you to talk about the relationship of those intangibles to that.
I have had the most outward success when I've had the most inner success. So when I feel aligned with purpose and the divine, and when I'm not in resistance or in fear, is when the magic happens. So I literally started a brand new podcast, launched a brand new podcast today. And I've been podcasting since, 3 years into the very first podcast ever. And I launched one specifically that's all about the inner game, that's all about doing the emotional and spiritual work in business, as opposed to just about marketing. So this is all part of that journey.
Do you find it difficult in that respect, since it is the most important part of any journey, no matter what you're selling or money you're making? Do you find it difficult to help business owners who are focused on the bottom line and expenses and everything, focus on intuition, inspiration, their own internal work and stuff? Do you find that hard?
No, because I think it's part of why I'm here. I think it's part of my purpose I launched the podcast, Inner Empire, today, literally Monday is June 30th, as we're recording this. It came out today, and I did that specifically to talk about the things that aren't talked about enough, except on, your show. I wanted to talk about the spiritual inner work that needs to be done and the things that get in our way. So I realized recently in the last couple months that was part of my purpose. It was something that I had done for myself, but hadn't really shared with anybody else. And it took a month or two of soul searching, going, wow, am I really going to air all my dirty laundry, all my fears, all my stuff that I've worked through and are working on? And when I sent some people that I trust sample episodes, just, hey, this isn't edited or anything, this is just what I'm thinking about, what do you think? I think the first 50 people said, oh my God, it was like you were talking to me. I'm going through that exact thing right now. Please air this. And I said, okay, I guess that's a message.
It is a message. And, we come into this world with nothing, right? We're naked and come in as infants. And when we leave, we're also leaving with nothing. None of the houses, bank accounts, or anything else that we have created is going to go with us. And the only thing we're going to take home with us is what we've made out of ourselves. And that's it. And so the commitment and dedication you're showing to that, whether you express it that way or not doesn't matter. That's the truth. And the fact that you have started then, and of course it wasn't an accident that the book is there. That was your first invitation to recognize the truth of your opportunity for being here, in terms of not only being a good marketer and a student of Dan and others who are great at that part of business, but also to give permission to people to recognize and then develop those things. What is the most fun thing you've got planned for this rest of this year, 2025?
Inner Empire podcast. I am most excited about the ripple effect of talking about the spiritual health, emotional health, mental health of business owners and what we can all work on to improve as spiritual and human beings.
I love that you say that. As you know, if you've been listening to some shows, my commitment this year is to reach 300 million people. And my year ends October 14th, which is 3.5 months from now. And there's a whole story about why, and that's New Year's, but that's a different story.
I remember the book.
I know you do. And so that opportunity, your Inner Empire podcast, your ultimate life, and all the things that are like that are willing to tell the truth and bridge the connection between the things in the world and the things inside are going to be what makes the difference. So when you think about what you're doing, what I'm doing, and others who are similarly, inspired and called, how excited are you about what I believe is the real opportunity to make a dent in the universe, to change the world?
I am super excited about it. I think it'll make an even bigger difference than the best marketing campaign we've ever done.
How come?
Because it's not about the money, it's not about the business, it's about us in spirit and how, that's where Inspire comes from. So I think talking about things that not enough people are talking about will hopefully be the rising tide that lifts all boats.
I often hear from people stuff like that there's a change brewing, that there's this elemental energetic shift going on that is in line with what you're talking about. Do you feel that?
I don't think the limiting answer I was about to give was I don't think I'm qualified to answer that question. I can't speak to feeling a shift in the rest of humanity, but I think enough people are wanting to become more, that we're doing it at the right time.
Okay, I agree, and that's a good way to say it. The results haven't showed up yet, okay? But there are certainly a lot of people and it making a lot of noise about feeling called. It's time to, use 100 million different ways to describe it, but it's time to end the addiction to the old, to the cash cow and the money and the worship of all that. So,
amen.
Yeah, amen, amen. So what haven't I asked you about? I've asked you, a broad range of things wandering around. Tell me something that you really want to leave, and it doesn't have about anything you want that you think would help you express your true being and what you want and that kind of stuff. So tell me a little bit about that.
I'm going to go back to one of my favorite quotes, which is from my brother-in-law, Dr. Corey Melnikoff, in his book, The $4 Sandwich. And it has informed a large part of, let's say, the last 15 plus years of my life. And we both alluded to it. It's the who you are being affects how well what you do works. So if you want what you do to work better, focus on who you are being better.
Thank you. There's something that I notice that is sort of obvious when you think about it, but people don't do it very often. And that is, if being is so important and we get to choose who we're being, and we do, I find it super important to exercise our sovereignty and create ourselves intentionally every day. To start the day with a process that's consistent with whatever it is you've decided to be. Do you do that?
I would like to do it even more.
It wasn't a trick question, dude. It was just curious because we've talked about that before.
Yes, and I'm working on doing it more.
Okay. Do you think it matters?
Of course it does.
Tell me the difference between days you do that well and days you either shortchange it or skip it.
It's night and day. We're creating our own reality. So you're creating a totally different experience. And why wouldn't you want one that's as fabulous as it could be?
Well, logic says you would, but we skip it. We shortchange it. We make excuses. We get up late. We hit snooze. We argue with somebody. We lose the energy of creation. All of those reasons. And we then give away our right to choose and create over and over again.
You are absolutely right. And that is an excellent question.
Okay. Well, that wasn't intended to be anything, but it just turned out that way. So that's good. So tell me what the most exciting thing is that you love about your dear, beautiful wife of 20 years. I'm always touched when people are married for a long time. That's powerful and special for lots of reasons that we won't go into here because we don't have time. But I want Rebecca, if she listens to this, to hear why you love her so much.
She makes me want to be a better man and a better spiritual being every single day.
How does she do that?
She inspires me. Who she is being makes me want to be better, raise my own vibrations, elevate my own game in every way, shape, or form.
Do you have any plans to start another podcast? I mean, Inner Empire, how many have you got running?
So we produce 27 a week at this moment for our clients. I host 4. Inner Empire is the 4th one. No, 4 is enough. It's funny. One of my producers for Sharkpreneur, which you've been on, just emailed me, said, I think we need to start airing 3 times a week to catch up to all the episodes you're doing. And I said, no, I need to slow down and focus more on Inner Empire because of the impact I'm hoping it'll have.
So I want you to take now a minute to tell everybody exactly how to find all your stuff. Where's the podcast? If you want to mention some of the podcasts you're hosting and helping for your clients, that's fine. I'm mainly interested in yours, how you're adding good to the world and what's important to you. So how do we find you? How do we get a little more Seth?
Thank you for asking. So innerempirepodcast.com is the new show. The others I host are Sharkpreneur with Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank, which you've been on, the Registered Investment Advisory Show for investment advisors. I host one for EO, Entrepreneurs Organization. You can check out us as a company at marketdominationllc.com. And if you want 30% off the Amazon price of my book on The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, go to ultimatepodcastbook.com. And that link is especially for Kellan listeners.
Cool. Thank you for that. So say your website. Is the website Market Domination?
LLC.com.
LLC.com. Is that the main one to find everything else? Or do we have to go other places?
It's the main one to find everything else, but the book offer for your folks is at ultimatepodcastbook.com, and Inner Empire is Inner Empire Podcast or any podcast platform.
Good. Well, I wanted you to say it again because one of the things I love most about you is how fast you talk. And I wanted to make sure people were able to hear it twice because I want people to go and get the value. You're welcome. The last thing I want to say is I am grateful to you for who you're being and your willingness to spend some time and share some heartfelt thoughts and advice with the audience. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure. It was a lot of fun.
I want you to take a minute and go back and listen to that, especially the end part where you can get all those resources. Seth is a powerhouse. He's made great opportunities available for lots of companies and done some real good stuff in the world. And he's also a good cat. That advice that he gave you and his example of how he walked up that mountain will help you as you move forward to create your ultimate life.
Never hold back and you'll never ask why. Open your heart and this time around.
Right here, right now. Your opportunity for massive growth is right in front of you. Every episode gives you practical tips and practices that will change everything. If you want to know more, go to KellanFluckigerMedia.com. If you want more free tools, go here, YourUltimateLife.ca. Subscribe, share.
Stand with your heart in the sky.